All right. So today we're going to talk about manifest destiny and the impact on Native Americans. So before we talk about manifest destiny, we got to talk about or connect the previous lesson, which was colonization. So remember, this was the Aztec Empire, the Inca Empire, and like I said, there were many other nations in between, thousands of people, thousands of nations with thousands of different languages. We have Portugal and Spain in Europe. We got France and England, right? So as exploration began and people began to colonize from Europe, you had first the Portuguese, right? They colonized what we call Brazil today, Africa, and they were the ones that started actually controlling the trade of spices in India. Now, I only put a couple of dots here, but they controlled quite a few ports here and quite a few ports all along here. Although I don't only put one just to kind of show that they were there. Um, Spain controlled all of what we call today Latin America, including Cuba and the Dominican Republic right here. Okay. Now, France controlled Haiti here, a very rich sugar um, producing colony, and a lot of this central area here, Mississippi and all that area. And then England had the 13 colonies. And notice that they were kind of like the weakest at the time, and the most powerful empire was Spain. They got a lot of wealth from the silver and gold mines in Latin America. These guys in France got a lot of wealth from the beaver trade along the Mississippi. And England actually was more concerned, like I said before, with agriculture and producing cotton to compete with India and their cotton producing prowess over here. All right. Um, Now, then we had what are called the Atlantic revolutions. Those were revolutions for independence. Now, the first Atlantic revolution was the United States, right? We had the American Revolution, created the United States, right? The second one was in Haiti, and it was the first and only successful revolution by slaves. Now, notice I'm calling them the Atlantic revolutions. I'm not mentioning the French Revolution here. I'm only talking about the revolutions for independence here. Once again, it's Haiti, the only successful revolution by slaves. And then we got the Latin American revolutions, which included Mexico and South America. And I'm not putting all the South American stuff because we're only concerned with Mexico at this point. For the prospects of this unit and this period of time. So again, um, this one was in the late 1700s. This was in the early 1800s. So quite a bit apart. But either way, revolutions nonetheless that began new countries here. Now the reason that that's important is because if you notice, the 13 colonies expanded into the Ohio region and into this region here. That was one of the reasons for the revolution, is that the colonists wanted to expand westward, and the King of England was not letting them or allowing them to expand westward because that would mean more warfare with the natives, and they weren't trying to provide more help with soldiers. So that kind of led to the conflict. So when the Americans won, or when we won the independence, that meant, hey, now we can expand westward, right? Also, Brazil got its independence without bloodshed, by the way. Um, so again, let's talk about the American movement westward. So original 13 colonies, then we had independence and expansion. Then we had the Louisiana Purchase. Now notice that I also include these sections here and here, which were different purchases and different things, but I just want to go over the major stuff. So the Louisiana Purchase in the 1800 allowed for American expansion into what used to be French territory. And then the Mexican-American War. Again, I'm not including the Oregon Territory and Florida and the Gadsden Purchase. So there's a lot of other things that happened here. Major ones were American independence and expansion, Louisiana Purchase, and the Mexican-American War, which led to more of what the United States looks like today. Now, those three major things led to problems, right? Because at that time, Americans had an idea called manifest destiny. They thought that it was the destiny, it was a cultural belief that American settlers were destined to take over all of North America, from sea to shining sea, is what they called it, right? Now, that idea of manifest destiny and that people were destined to cut across to the Pacific had an effect both on Hispanics and on Native Americans. Again, for this unit, we're talking about Native Americans. So, what effects did that have for Native Americans? Well, continual warfare. First, warfare in the Ohio region, then warfare in the Great Plains region, and then warfare in the West with the Mexican American War, right? So, again, continual warfare, continually broken treaties, which we're going to talk about in another lesson, and then reservations, which we're also going to have another lesson on. So these are two other lessons. Today's lesson is we're going to talk about continual warfare. And I'm not going to tell you about all the different Indian wars in the plains and all the different wars here. Um, you're going to research it. You're going to do your own research, find one example of Native American resistance. And again, I want you to stay constrained between 1790 and 1900. Remember that around 1850 to 1900 is the Industrial Revolution here in the United States, and that had a different effect on natives. So we're going to stay within 1790 to 1900. And I need you to make an infographic showing the results of that one example of Native American resistance. I want you to explain the resistance, who was involved, and the causes and consequences, and the time frame of that involvement. So basically, who, what, when, where, and why, and the consequences, right? So here's the rubric, and you can read it on your own. I'm hoping that you all get a 4 and try to hit for that, okay? So we'll see what you do in class. As extra credit, we might present on recording it on your iPhone or your regular phone. Okay, that's it. I'll see you guys in class.